Have you ever been judged by your own family? Not for what you did wrong, but for what you couldn't afford. This isn't just a story about gifts or brands, it's about dignity, self-worth, and what happens when quiet resilience finally speaks louder than gold. If you've ever been underestimated, stay with me, because this story, it's for you. They say it's the thought that counts. But I learned that's only true when the wrapping paper is expensive enough to hide. Your struggle though, it was my mother's birthday. A Sunday afternoon barbecue turned into a big indoor dinner thanks to a surprise downpour. The whole house smelled like rosemary chicken, smoke from the fire pit, and sugar-glazed peaches. My sister Amanda had decorated the living room with expensive flower arrangements, and my brother Nathan brought imported wine he couldn't even pronounce. Me? I brought carefully wrapped gifts from a discount store. I had spent hours picking them out. A soft fleece blanket in Mom's favorite shade of lavender. A ceramic jewelry tray shaped like a leaf because she once told me she wished she had something pretty to keep her rings on, and a candle that smelled like gardenias. She used to grow them when I was little, but they weren't brand names. They weren't anything you'd find in a boutique. Just thoughtful things from a store where prices ended in .97. I walked in with a smile. Balancing a tray of homemade lemon squares and the modest bag of gifts, no one helped. Amanda breezed past me in heels, already shouting about her husband's promotion. Nathan didn't even glance up from his phone. At dinner, I sat at the far end of the table, near the cousins' kids and the casserole dishes. That's when Mom opened my gifts. She held up the blanket like it had lint on it, turning it over as if checking for a logo. Amanda leaned in and smirked. "Oh, you still shop at Generico?" A few chuckles bubbled across the table. "My cousin." Marcy actually laughed out loud. I looked down, cheeks burning, pretending to sip water. My hands trembled slightly. Mom gave a weak smile. "Thank you, dear," she said. But the sparkle in her eyes that I remembered from childhood, when I used to bring her crayon drawings, wasn't there. Amanda nudged her own gift forward, a spa voucher and a bottle of luxury perfume. It still had the store's ribbon tied around it. I heard her whisper to Mom, "Well, at least you can use mine." That one stung more than I wanted to admit. No one asked me how I'd been. No one noticed the dark circles under my eyes or the calluses on my fingertips from typing nonstop. No one asked why I was still single, still renting. Still, in their eyes, drifting, they didn't know about the startup. I was building from scratch. They didn't know I'd been eating peanut butter and rice all month to keep my server. Costs paid. They didn't know I stayed up until 3 a.m. some nights, answering customer support emails myself, with no team, no funding, just sheer will. Because to them, my value still came in brand names and marital status. I smiled politely through the rest of dinner, took small bites, laughed when it was expected. But inside, I was folding myself smaller and smaller, like the tissue paper they discarded from my gift bag until I barely existed. And yet, somewhere deep down, past the pain, past the shame, I felt something settle. Not anger. Not yet, but the beginning of something sharp, focused. Like wrapping paper pulled too tight around something much bigger inside. I used to think families were built on love. Now I realize some are built on ladders, and I was always the rung they skipped over. Growing up, I learned my place early. Amanda was the golden girl with her blonde curls, perfect grades, and a personality that sparkled like jewelry in a sunlit case. Nathan was the brain, quiet but impressive, destined for some high salary title with a plaque on his office door. And me? I was the one with potential. The one who used to draw well and always had ideas. In other words, the forgettable one. Dinner that night unfolded like every other family gathering. Casual questions disguised as small talk, with hidden barbs poking just beneath the surface. "So," Amanda said across the table, swirling her wine, "are you still doing that online thing? What was it again?" "A blog? It's a digital platform for—" "Oh, right," she cut me off. "Anyway, Ben's firm might be opening a second office in Aspen. We might be there for the winter holidays."
Imagine. Skiing on Christmas morning.
Nathan chimed in with some figures from his quarterly bonus. Mom's eyes lit up like they'd been switched on. See? Hard work always pays off, she said, looking straight at him. And not at me. I could have spoken up. Told them the platform was finally gaining traction. That we just hit 10,000 monthly users. That I had my first investor meeting next week. But I didn't because I knew they wouldn't understand. Not the work, not the risk. Not the nights I lay in bed calculating how long I could go without health insurance. Not the victories that didn't come with pay stubs or stock options, just hope. And maybe someday something more. They only respected things they could hold, label, brag about. Amanda's ring, Nathan's title. Even Ben's car. No one talks about the quiet kind of ambition, the kind that doesn't come in Instagram posts or glossy packages. The kind that keeps you awake long after the lights are off. Pushing code, revising decks, chasing that one last email lead. I glanced around the table and realized they weren't asking because they cared. They were asking to compare. I was a placeholder in their lives, a subject to be brushed past. A reminder of what they thought failure looked like. Amanda's voice dripped with honeyed judgment. You should think about coming back home. Maybe get something stable. You'd be so much less stressed. I smiled tightly. I'm doing just fine, I said. A lie, maybe. But not for long, because what they didn't know was this. While they were busy polishing their trophies, I was quietly building the shelf that would outlast them all. I looked down at my plate and took a bite of cold mashed potatoes, pretending they didn't taste like ash. And somewhere between the fake laughter and the smell of candle wax, I made a decision. I wouldn't explain myself again. Not here. Not to people who measured worth by credit scores and handbag brands. I wouldn't play catch-up in a race. I never asked to be part of. They could keep their hierarchy. I was building something else entirely. And soon, I wouldn't need a seat at their table, because I'd have my own. There's a kind of silence that doesn't comfort. It accuses. After the dinner, I came home, kicked off my flats, and sat on the edge of my futon, staring at the grocery store flowers I'd bought myself 2 days ago. They were already wilting. In their glass, I lived in a tiny one-bedroom apartment above a laundromat. The floor creaked when I shifted. My neighbor's TV bled through the walls like a dull heartbeat. The air was thick with the smell of detergent and last night's coffee. No one clapped for me when I walked through the door. No, congrats. No, how was your day? Just the soft hum of my old laptop and the faint click of the space heater cycling on. I didn't cry, not that night. I just stood there, still dressed for the dinner table, looking at the wall of sticky notes above my desk, each one a goal. A deadline, a line of code to fix. A reminder that I was not allowed to give up. I changed into sweatpants, tied my hair back, reheated some leftover rice and chickpeas, and opened the app dashboard. 3 new users. Not much, but something. That's how it was. Slow, lonely, quiet. Some nights, I'd stare at rejection emails until the words blurred into each other. We appreciate your submission, but not a good fit at this time. And yet, I kept going, because beneath the shame I carried home from every family gathering, there was a stubborn ember. I didn't want revenge. I just didn't want to feel that small again. There were nights I broke down, hands over my face, whispering to no one, "What am I doing?" But those were followed by sparks. The first time someone from New York signed up for the app. The night I posted a clip on TikTok explaining what it did. And it actually went viral. 18,000 views in 6 hours. My hand shook as I scrolled. I danced. Alone in the kitchen that night with cold tea and fuzzy socks. No music, just me and the glow of my screen. Then came a message in my inbox. I saw your platform. I'm intrigued. Let's talk. Alan J. Linford, VentureSpark Capital. I Googled the name 3 times to make sure it was real. I'd pitched to his firm 6 months earlier and heard nothing. Now he was reaching out directly. I drafted a reply, rewrote it 5 times. Then hit send. And then I sat in silence again, palms pressed against my cheeks, laughing softly to myself. I was nowhere near the finish line. But I wasn't in the same place either. I had no fancy office, no team of engineers. Just a refurbished laptop, too many browser tabs, and a deep, aching need to prove, not to them, but to myself, that I could make something out of nothing. My meals were cheap. My heat was temperamental. My hair hadn't been professionally done in over a year, but I was building something they couldn't see. Something they couldn't laugh away. There was power in that. In every long night. In every tab labeled how to build a payment gateway or pitch deck samples. In every time I whispered, "You're not done yet," to my reflection at 2:41 a.m. This wasn't a montage. It was a war of inches, but it was mine. And if they ever wondered where I went in the months that followed, I was here. In this room. Quiet, determined, while the world slept. I worked. It happened on a Tuesday. I remember because I'd just finished cleaning out the fridge, tossing wilted kale and expired oat milk, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Normally I'd ignore it, but something told me to pick up.
Hi, this is Alan Linford from VentureSpark.
My heart tripped. I dropped the sponge, wiped my hands on a dish towel, and cleared my throat to sound more professional than I felt. He didn't waste time. We're acquiring a portfolio of early-stage platforms. Yours fits a gap we're looking to fill. I've already spoken with legal. We're prepared to offer a structured buyout, partial cash, partial equity. We'll also keep you on as a creative lead if you're interested. I sat on the kitchen floor in disbelief, back pressed against the dishwasher. As he continued outlining the numbers, when the call ended, I stared at the wall. Then I laughed. Just one breathless, stunned laugh. The kind that comes when your reality tilts in a direction you didn't dare hope for. I didn't tell anyone. Not right away. Not Amanda. Not Nathan. Not even Mia. My closest friend since college. It wasn't because I didn't want to celebrate. It was because for the first time in my life, the win felt sacred, private, mine. I let it soak in silently. I signed the deal 2 weeks later, alone, in the same pajamas I'd been wearing for 2 days, hair in a bun, fingers trembling as I clicked confirm. The payout wasn't just life-changing. It was generational. Enough to wipe out debt. To invest. To build again. With a team this time. I didn't buy a mansion or a penthouse with a rooftop pool. I upgraded to a modern 2-bedroom condo with big windows, warm wood floors, and a view of the city I used to only imagine from Google Maps. I bought new clothes, not designer, but tailored, timeless, clothes that fit the woman I was becoming. I hired 2 brilliant developers and a part-time assistant. I got health insurance. I slept on a real mattress for the first time in years. And still, I didn't post a thing. No announcement. No humble brag. No. Big news coming soon stories because I didn't want validation. I wanted peace. Then came the invitation. A thick, gold-trimmed card slipped into my mailbox like a dare. Join us for Mom's retirement brunch, hosted by Amanda and Ben. Location: the Hillside Country Club. Dress code: business formal, of course. Amanda loved events with a dress code. Loved watching people squirm trying to meet her standards. I held the invitation between my fingers and felt something shift in me. A current rising. This wasn't anger. It wasn't revenge. It was readiness. I marked the date on my calendar. And for the first time in a long time, I smiled at a family gathering invite the week before the brunch. I designed something special, a custom Tesla Model S, pearl white, with matte black trim, minimalist. Sleek, not flashy, just quietly impossible to ignore. And on the rear glass, etched in the lower corner like a signature, was the name of the platform I built, the one Amanda never bothered to remember, the one they laughed off as a blog. When I picked it up from the showroom, I didn't cry. I just gripped the wheel and whispered, "Let's go, girl." I still hadn't told them. They still didn't know. And that was the point. Because when you've been underestimated your whole life, there's nothing more powerful than letting the silence carry your success into the room before you do. The Hillside Country Club sat like a cathedral of wealth, all white columns and valets in black gloves. The kind of place where even the chandeliers felt like they'd judge you if your shoes weren't expensive enough. I pulled up slowly in the circular drive, the afternoon sun glinting off the pearl-white hood of my custom Tesla Model S. It was elegant but not loud, just clean, sharp, and impossible to ignore. On the rear window, etched so faintly you'd only see it if you were really looking, Was the name of my company, the one they mocked, the one they never bothered to ask about. The valet practically bowed as he opened my door. I stepped out calmly, in a tailored navy jumpsuit and soft leather flats, not a brand they'd recognize, but it hugged my figure like it was made for me. And in a way, I caught a glimpse of Amanda through the tall glass doors. She was standing by the bar, sipping champagne, gesturing in that dramatic way she always did when retelling one of her networking success stories. Nathan was near the buffet, talking to a man with a golf tan and an expensive watch. Then I saw them both do a double take. Amanda stepped outside first. Her smile faltered for half a second before she recovered it like a dropped pearl. "Oh, wow," she said, eyes flicking from the Tesla to my face. "Is this yours?" I replied simply, handing the valet a folded bill. Nathan appeared behind her, his eyebrows lifting. "Nice ride. When did you trade in the hatchback?"
About a month ago, I said. Figured it was time.
My niece, 12 years old and far too observant for her age, tugged at Amanda's sleeve. "Mom, that's cooler than Uncle Ben's, right?" Amanda laughed tightly. "Sweetheart, don't compare cars." I just smiled. Inside, the air was colder than necessary, the kind of chill that came from air conditioning and family dynamics. But this time, I didn't feel the need to shrink. The conversations shifted around me. I wasn't the invisible sibling. This time, I wasn't asked about dating or whether I was still doing that online thing. Instead, I got curious glances, sidelong stares. Nathan suddenly remembered he'd meant to ask what I'd been up to. Amanda offered me a mimosa. The table was round, no head, no hierarchy. And yet, the way they looked at me had changed. Even Mom, who always knew how to cut me down with just a look, seemed hesitant. She reached for my hand halfway through her speech about retiring after 37 years in education. "I'm proud of all my kids," she said, eyes brushing mine briefly. "Some just bloom in different seasons." Later, when we were alone near the dessert table, she touched my arm. "Did something happen?" she asked. I turned to her with a small smile. "Let's just say, store brand paid off." Her lips parted, but she didn't speak. She just nodded. Like maybe finally she saw me. Not fully. Not clearly, but more than before. I didn't brag. Didn't announce the deal. Didn't bring up the equity or the number of users or the fact that I now employed people smarter than me. I let the silence speak. Amanda tried to fish for details all evening. She laughed a little too hard at my jokes. Told me we should totally do a girls' trip soon. Nathan asked for my opinion on crypto. I sipped my drink, answered politely, and watched them squirm in the new imbalance they couldn't quite explain. And still, I wasn't angry. I was steady, because the truth is, this wasn't revenge. Not really. This was reclamation. A quiet, graceful arrival into a room I was always in. Just never seen inside. And now, they couldn't unsee me. The brunch was winding down when Amanda found me alone near the coat check, her heels clacking across the marble like punctuation marks. She looked different up close, tighter around the eyes, more curious than confident. She glanced over her shoulder to make sure no one was listening, then leaned in. "Okay, what's going on?" she asked in a half-whisper. "Why didn't you tell us anything?" I looked at her. Really looked. This was the same sister who once told me to get a real job, who made fun of my thrifted blazers and my mismatched dishes. I smiled gently. "No one asked." She blinked, caught off guard. "That's not fair, isn't it?" I said. "You asked me if I was still trying my little online thing. That was the last conversation we had. 6 months ago." Amanda's mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. For once, she didn't have a comeback. "It's not that I didn't want to tell you," I added. "It's that I stopped waiting for the moment you'd care." Her shoulders sank a little. She offered a soft, defensive laugh. "Well, I care now." I gave a small shrug. "That's nice." And that was it. I walked away without malice. Just peace. That night, my phone lit up like it was New Year's Eve. Text after text, some from Amanda, some from Mom, a few cousins I hadn't heard from in months. "So proud of you. You've always been smart." "Wait, is this real? Can we?" Talk soon? Just wondering, do you have any investment tips? Heard about your app, I've got an idea too, maybe we could meet up. I put my phone face down and let it buzz. No anger. No satisfaction either, just clarity. They weren't messaging me because they'd suddenly remembered my worth. They were messaging me because now they could see it in ways they understood. Dollar signs, status, press mentions. But me? I wasn't answering, not yet. Maybe not ever in the same way. I sat on my balcony, barefoot in a hoodie, sipping tea as the city blinked beneath me, and I thought about all the years I twisted myself to fit their mold, tried to keep up, too. Please, to apologize for not being enough. I used to think I needed their approval. That if I just did one impressive thing, they'd finally see me. But the truth, I didn't need them to see me. I needed me to see me. To respect the woman who kept going when no one clapped. To believe in the girl who built something beautiful. While everyone else dismissed her, they could keep their validation. I had my dignity, and for the first time in my life, that was more than enough. These days, I still shop at the same store, not out of necessity, but by choice. There's something grounding about walking the same aisles, recognizing the familiar shelves, running my fingers over the same soft fleece blankets and discount candles. The prices are still marked in red stickers. The carts still have that one squeaky wheel, only now I don't feel small pushing one. I walk in with my shoulders back, my head high, and I smile at the cashier like I used to wish someone would smile at me, because I'm not ashamed anymore. That store saved me once. It helped me give when I had nothing to spare but heart. It held me when no one else noticed I was trying. I mentor now young women mostly, some just out of college, some working night shifts, all of them trying to build something out of thin air. Just like I did, we sit in cafes with chipped mugs and shared croissants and talk about grit, rejection, fear, how to answer investors who condescend, how to pitch when your voice shakes. I tell them the truth, that you'll cry more than you want to admit, that success will often feel lonelier than failure, that sometimes the world won't clap, not even when you win. But I also tell them this, that you're not building for applause, you're building so one day you can sit in your own quiet joy and say, I did that. And that matters more than any spotlight ever will. My life now is steady, spacious. I still live simply, but not sparingly. I've learned to enjoy softness, good sheets, fresh flowers, a couch that doesn't hurt my back. My team has grown. My second project just launched, not flashy but purposeful. And I'm investing in other scrappy founders who remind me of myself. Sometimes I get messages from Amanda. Polite, light, curious. I respond when I feel like it. Nathan forwarded me a link to an article that mentioned my company. No caption, no comment. Just the link. I smiled. My mom sent me a birthday card this year. Inside, just 2 lines. You've always had it in you. I'm sorry it took me so long to see it. I cried when I read it, not because I needed it anymore, but because the girl I used to be, the one who sat at that dinner table holding back tears over a blanket and a candle, she deserved to hear it, even if it came late. In the back of my desk drawer, tucked beneath a folder of old investor notes and early sketches of my app, is a single faded receipt. It's creased at the corners. The ink's nearly gone, but I keep it. It's the receipt from that night. The one Amanda mocked. The one they all laughed at. A fleece blanket, a candle. A ceramic tray shaped like a leaf. Total, $28. 16. I kept it not to remember the pain, but to remember the moment I stopped needing their approval. That receipt reminds me what it felt like to be unseen, and how, even then, I showed up with love, with intention, with everything I had. They wanted proof. I was worth something. That's what all of this was, wasn't it? All the brands, the questions, the measuring. They wanted a receipt to believe I had value. But here's the truth. I was the receipt all along, and they were just too busy reading the label to notice.